They say history is written by the victors, but in America's case, history wasn't just written, it was carefully edited. The story we're taught in school is simple. Brave pilgrims seeking freedom crossed the ocean, founded colonies, fought for independence, and built a nation based on liberty. Clean, heroic, predictable. But beneath this polished narrative lies a hidden truth, a truth so complex, so contradictory, and sometimes so unsettling that many historians quietly agree the real origin of America reads less like a textbook and more like a tangled mystery. The real story doesn't begin with the Mayflower. It begins long before 1620, with ancient civilizations across the continent, vast societies with cities, road networks, and political systems that rivaled Europe. When the first European explorers stepped onto the land, they weren't entering a wilderness. They were entering a continent already shaped by millions of people, ruled by powerful nations such as the Mississippian mound builders, the Iroquois Confederacy, and the Pueblo cultures of the Southwest. These civilizations had laws, agriculture, astronomy, diplomacy, and trade routes stretching thousands of miles. Yet their story is rarely told in full because acknowledging it changes everything about how America was truly formed. When European arrival began, it wasn't peaceful and it wasn't accidental. Letters, journals, and military records reveal a strategy, a deliberate push to claim the continent by overwhelming the original civilizations. Some of it happened through warfare, but most happened through something far more devastating: disease. Smallpox, influenza, and measles swept across the land like invisible armies, killing up to 90% of the population before many Europeans even reached the interior. That wasn't just a tragic coincidence. Some colonial leaders openly encouraged spreading infected blankets, while others wrote to their superiors describing disease as a tool of providence. Entire cities were wiped out before a single musket fired. And then there is the forgotten role of secret alliances, agreements struck not only with European powers, but among native nations themselves. The Iroquois Confederacy, for example, influenced the political structure of the future United States so deeply that early American leaders debated whether to officially credit them. Benjamin Franklin studied their system carefully. The concept of checks and balances, collective leadership, and unity among states all mirrored the Haudenosaunee model. But when the Constitution was drafted, the acknowledgement disappeared. A nation inspired by indigenous governance was presented as purely European genius. The Pilgrims and early settlers themselves weren't the groups we imagine. Many were not searching for freedom in the modern sense. They were businessmen, soldiers, religious extremists, or convicts shipped across the ocean for labor. Jamestown, America's first permanent English colony, wasn't founded on ideals. It was founded by a corporation, the Virginia Company, run by investors looking for gold, resources, and profit. The colonists lived under strict company rule, and starvation became common. At one point, they resorted to cannibalism, something documented in forensic studies and journals, but often left out of official stories. Meanwhile, a silent struggle was unfolding across Europe. Spain, France, England, and the Netherlands were racing for control of the continent, each using spies, private armies, and secret treaties. America wasn't founded by one group. It was the end result of a geopolitical chess match. George Washington, hailed as the father of the nation, began his military career by accidentally sparking the French and Indian War, a global conflict that involved 5 continents. The revolution itself wasn't simply a heroic uprising. It was heavily funded by France, which saw an opportunity to weaken Britain. Without French money, French ships, and French officers, independence would have been impossible.
And then comes the most uncomfortable truth of all. The early American economy was built on forced labor. Not just African slavery, but also indentured servitude, debt bondage, and the exploitation of native groups. The wealth that allowed America to grow, its farms, ports, and industries, was generated by systems that denied freedom to millions. Even the White House and the Capitol were built by enslaved laborers. Yet the founding narrative speaks only of liberty. The founding fathers themselves were not unified visionaries. They were deeply divided. Their private letters reveal fear, distrust, and political manipulation. Some believed in democracy, others believed only wealthy landowners should rule. Some wanted a national bank, others saw it as tyranny. Some wanted slavery abolished, others fought fiercely to protect it. The Declaration of Independence originally included a paragraph condemning slavery, written by Thomas Jefferson, but it was removed due to political pressure from Southern colonies. A nation born in the name of freedom began with a compromise that contradicted its core promise. There are even stranger, lesser-known stories woven into the country's origins. European explorers reported seeing massive ancient earthworks, giant stone walls, and cities that later disappeared. Early colonial leaders wrote about encounters with tribes whose origins they couldn't explain, with linguistic patterns matching none in the region. Some settlers claimed to find strange inscriptions in caves, symbols resembling Old World languages. These accounts fueled theories that forgotten civilizations, or even early transoceanic visitors, may have shaped early America long before Columbus. Historians still debate these records, but their existence raises questions. Who truly walked this land first, and how much have we lost? As America grew, so did its attempts to rewrite its own story. School books simplified complex events. Heroes were polished. Conflicts were softened. Uncomfortable truths were removed. The past was reshaped into something inspirational, orderly, and patriotic. But real history is never simple. Real history is chaotic, contradictory, and filled with voices that were never allowed to speak. The hidden truth of America's founding is this: it wasn't built by one people, one idea, or one simple act of bravery. It was shaped by many forces: ancient civilizations, colonial empires, secret alliances, pandemics, stolen labor, competing ideologies, and relentless human ambition. It was built through creation and destruction, cooperation and betrayal, hope and tragedy. And yet, despite everything, despite the conflicts, the contradictions, and the dark chapters, the nation that emerged became one of the most influential in human history. But to understand America today, we must understand what was erased, what was hidden, and what was never told. Because the real story of how America was founded isn't a tale of perfection, it's a tale of humanity, in all its brilliance and all its flaws. And now, piece by piece, the truth is finally coming back into view, resurrected from diaries, oral histories, archaeology, and the brave historians willing to confront the past. The polished myth is fading. The real story is emerging. And perhaps only by facing that truth can America fully understand what it truly is and what it is still becoming.